And we are live. Welcome to Product as a Star. I'm your host, Will Cunningham. And on this show, we talk to folks interested in getting the word out about a product, good, service, message, or call to action. Today's discussion will feature a conversation with Gregg Daniels. Welcome to the show, Gregg.
Oh, nice to be here, man. Thanks, Will. Thanks for the invitation.
I'm glad you're here, man. So right off the bat, let's get right into it. Could you share with us what's one thing you wish you would have known before you began your career?
I wish I had known there'd be so many people willing to help. I've been very blessed in that. There's been people willing to help me along the way, but you have to ask for it. And I thought I had to go it alone so many times. I'm just like, yes, I can do it. I can do it. But, when I did reach out and extend myself and ask individuals, particularly those who are, quote, made it, who are pretty higher up the food chain, I always met with a lot of positivity, a lot of sure, a lot in whatever way they could. So I would encourage young people who are trying. I mean, if you have mentors, find people who are willing to say yes and put you in a position where you can learn. I'm also a stage director, and a young man had written. I just did a play, August Wilson play, and there was a young man who had written me, who had seen another play I directed. And he was interested in the process, and I said, this kid seems to have his shoes on right. And I invited him to be my assistant to the director on the play.
Wow.
And he spent 5 weeks with me, had a great time. But that was because he reached out. He found me. He reached out. He said, listen, I love what you did in the last play. I'm trying to be a director. I'd like to know more, but you got to reach out. So I wish I had known there'd be as many people, not everyone, but that's okay. You only need one or two willing to share and help lift you up as well. I wish I had known that from Jump Street.
Wow. To talk about that a little bit. So it's very key to ask for the help is what you're telling our audience.
That's
Because
right.
and I also have learned that as well in my personal experience. I used to have to make cold calls for licensing purposes based
Mm-hmm.
on me trying to license products, goods, and services. I had to learn
Yes.
that. So one of the key ways that you get help is you have to ask for help. So it engages a different part of the brain, of the
That's
mind.
right.
So if you go, excuse me, I need your help, it triggers a whole
That's
different
right. Very good.
level of compassion.
You
So I
put that well.
definitely thank you very
You
much.
put that well. Because all they can say is no. I mean, when we think about it,
Right.
maybe hell no, but the fact is no, you won't break. I mean, you will survive. If someone said no, and it might be no, not right now. However, if you circle back and come in 3-4 months, I mean, so what we build up this kind of anxiety. No, I can't say that to him. I can't say that to her. I'm not going to do
Mm,
that. And so we sort of psych ourselves into thinking there's no way they're going to take the time to focus on me or to help me out. But as you learned, yeah, the professionals out there they will help you. Those who have been blessed, who have people helping them, they want to return. They want to share. So ask. All you can
yeah.
get is no. Big deal. Move on. If that's going to stop you, then you ain't going to have a career in whatever it is. If one knows going to stop you, then you're not really cut out for this. You better go somewhere else. But say no. Thank you very much. I appreciate you even taking the time to entertain the question. Move on, brother. Move on.
Right. That's right. And I wonder if that comes from a fear of rejection that
Yes.
and if that's the case, I want to share with our audience too that rejection is nothing more than optimization data. It's not to be feared. You're supposed to collect that. You should fail forward, is what I like to tell myself
I love that, man.
religiously.
Love that.
Fail
Yeah.
forward and compile the data, and then use that data to propel you forward. It's like a hidden university, your own hidden university of real world applications. But I digress. Going
Absolutely,
in,
not at all. No, challenges are there for a reason. I mean, not if it
yeah,
was easy to do, everyone would be doing it. Come on, to get where if it was easy to do, everybody would be doing it. So you get a challenge, say it. Okay, this is a challenge now, but you will get over it. You will find inroads. You will make paths. You will begin to find paths in, and you will be that much more powerful and that much more confident as a result of coming back from whatever that rejection, that no, whatever it was. You'll be that much more confident.
so what are some of your influences? Like if you were to really, I know I'm sure there's a multitude, but where do you draw influence from?
Well, when I was young, my mom and dad, no doubt about it. My father was an immigrant from a Caribbean island. He never finished school, but the fact that he came to this country, he married my mother, he made a life for my brother and I. Something about my father's humility and his pride, how he and
Mm,
his work ethic. Oh my God, my father's work ethic was like unrivaled. I mean, he was a worker. He was a
yeah.
worker. So he sort of I embraced those values. I saw that one
Mm,
had to really work to make things happen and still have value in yourself. So right off the
mm,
bat, my father and my mother were huge influences because they, even when I wanted to become an actor, I mean, I know how uncomfortable it made them because they didn't understand this acting thing. Well, wait a minute,
mm.
you work for a week or so and then you have to find another job. It's like, it makes no sense. I mean, listen to it. You work for a week, 2 weeks, and then you have to find another job. But they never stopped me. They never tried. They saw my passion for it. They
Mm,
read my passion for it. So they never said, well, don't do that.
mhm,
That's no good. What are you, crazy? No, they saw that I was really passionate about becoming a performer and they supported me in it. So my mom and dad, without them, I no, I would have definitely taken some roads that I didn't need to take and didn't want to take. Those were my influences. And if you look around, and then of course along the way, there have been so many people along the way. I mean, even in film and television, like Sidney Poitier was a big
mm,
influence of mine. Seeing Poitier, seeing this jet black man with such dignity and such
mhm.
style. I mean, back then
And
we
back
didn't
then, yeah.
have all that. No, we didn't
Mm.
have stars. No, we didn't. We had a Sidney Poitier, and
We didn't
the
even have
fact.
the concept of a black cinema.
No, we did not. We did not. So you can imagine seeing a man like him in the many movies that he did, and all of
Mm,
them, he was just something he carried. There was something that was going on internally that made me go, yeah, I could do that. Or I want to do that. I want to do that. So, I mean, we stand on the shoulders of giants, definitely.
yeah, yeah, we
Sydney and
do.
so many others were folks who blazed the trail because their opportunities and their path forward wasn't as clear or wasn't as easier as it is now. It was much more difficult. So along the way, there were influences that kept telling me, yes, you can do it. Yes, you can go. And I thank each and every one of them.
Wow. So to
I try and be
summarize
that.
that, right.
No, I'm sorry. I'm trying to be that as well.
Well, guess what? I'm going to hit you up on that after the show. I'm going to talk to you about some of these little. Shouldn't have said that to me because I'm going to take you up on that offer. But to summarize really quick, you got there. That question was about influence, and so you gave us Sidney Poitier and what it meant and the impact in that time, and then you
That's right.
gave us your parents' influence, which I want to highlight. Sometimes our parents might say something, but what they demonstrate is the real lesson that we get, especially in the formative years. So as you're coming in, you mentioned work ethic. You saw your father work. That's not advice. That's a demonstration. That's an act.
That's right.
And
That's
you're
right.
an actor, and here you are an actor. So
That's
I
right.
really, I really appreciate that, and I definitely picked up that
You
that
summed it up really.
transmission.
You summed it up really well. I learned by
Thank you,
example. I watched his work ethic, and I learned, and I absorbed it. I just absorbed it. So you summed that up very well.
thank you. And you spoke about Sidney Poitier. Could you tell us about some of your other favorite actors, or maybe some of the other films that you go, "Wow, man, I wish I could have been in that movie," or "What were they thinking when they made that?" Because as a rap artist, I hear some albums and some music, and I go, "What was like Outkast
Yeah.
thinking when they came with the
Yeah.
Clemini? Like, what was
Yeah.
they? What?" And so, is
Yeah.
there what kind of movies or Broadway plays or anything like that? Books?
Oh, well,
Could you
Broadway
share?
plays. I mean, my God, we had Ozzie Davis and Ruby Dee, who people may not remember, but there was a married
Mm,
couple, Ozzie Davis and Ruby Dee. He wrote Pearly Victorious, was a musical, but they were a married couple who I think Ruby Dee played Denzel's mother in. I can't think of that film, but she had a long illustrious career. We lost her a few years ago, but he was a black couple, an actor and actress, and everything they did, in every way was just so exemplary of the work I wanted to do. Again, the
mm,
dignity, the professionalism they brought to it, and this was Ozzie Davis and Ruby Dee. They were sort of the black. For me, they were the black epitome of a couple, a power couple. They were a power
mm,
couple long before we had coined the term power couple, because whether they
mm.
were in individual films or films together, which they did a few together, they were. So your readers, you need to go back and look up Ozzie Davis and Ruby Dee. You need to go look them up and know who these people were, because they were a power couple long before Jay-Z and Beyonce. Way, 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 way beyond that. And it was much tougher. Again, it was much
Mm,
tougher in Hollywood. It was much tougher in society. It was much tougher in society at that time for a black couple to have power. So they
mhm.
were examples. They were examples to me of, okay, it can be, and can have a successful relationship as well. And you
That's
could
acceptable.
have a successful relationship as well.
Hmm. So was that? I have a question about that. Was that pre Josephine Baker or after
After
Josephine?
Josephine Baker.
That
They
was
were
after.
after
Okay,
Josephine. Yeah, they were after
okay, okay.
Josephine Baker. But
Ruby D and
again,
Ozzy.
Ozzie, and brilliant, just brilliant actors. And again, he was a writer. As they wrote this a play called Pearly Victorious, a musical that did very well on Broadway back in the '60s. I think it was back in the '60s. But yeah, and again, they were the definition of a power couple for me. But to see again a young black kid to see these two people married and they're both actors, that's unheard of. I mean, a couple. I mean, how do they make a living? And then carrying themselves with such grace and dignity and style was something that imprinted on me as well. And I've been married now for 25 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, to an actress, to a black actress. I am married
Hey,
to a
hold
black
on.
actress.
Y'all a power couple out here. Let me have paparazzi pop out on y'all real quick.
But we've been married 25 years. And yeah, it showed me that we could have a successful, it's work. Don't get me wrong, it's work. But we have had a very successful relationship and continue to have one.
Man, I dig that. What we're talking about, the arts, drama, acting. So did you go to school for
Yes.
any acting? And
Yes.
So what, can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think that before you tell me, let me guess, did you take English as a major? Or was it English in your,
Yes.
See,
English
a lot of people don't realize the connection between English and drama. So could you please tell us about
language was really important to me. When I realized I wanted to be an actor, I was lucky to grow up in New York City, where we had Broadway, off Broadway. I could go see plays, and I could just go see plays. So we had some conservatory programs, training programs in New York, and one of them was New York University, Tisch School of the Arts, NYU. And I did study. I studied formally for years at NYU. Again, we had Juilliard. There were a number of conservatory programs, but I knew how serious I wanted to be, and I knew how I wanted to compete. In order to really compete, you have to know speech and English, and we did circus, we did, oh my God, voice. We did voice reproduction. We did everything. So I studied at the school and I got a degree. I have a Master of Fine Arts degree and in acting. And so that really prepared me. I mean, that really prepared me, because everything you're saying, there's a connection between language, there's a dynamism in terms of being able to use language and go with language. And that's part of what I learned when I formally studied. Now, you don't have to go to the conservatory program. There are fine studios you can find to study, but you do have to study. If you want to compete, then you need to study. There's a lot of, I have to say, there's a lot of really fine actors and actresses out here. But the ones who tend to put more time into their training or focus on that, they work. They work because they put so much time. Because their skills. It's a skill. It's like being able to dance or read music and play the violin or the saxophone. You have to know what it is that you're doing with the script. You have to know what you're doing with the character. You have to have technique. I mean, without technique, you're kind of lost. So at least those years at school gave me a craft, a way of working, and some technique. Yeah.
And being around people working on the same thing that you are, having a quality peer group that is also, it kind of speaks to the competition part, what you're saying, but you got to be in an environment to compete with people. I can't go to the football practice facility with a basketball trying to sharpen my 3-point, right? I got to get around people that are focused and I know that. So you going to school through you in that environment.
Oh, surround yourself with people with vast experience. I mean, some of our instructors, oh my God. I mean, not only were they active in the world of entertainment, but they had studied and been with some classics. So again, surround yourself with people who had no more than you, who see that what your passion is, and who also want to learn. That was that was such a good environment. It was tough, of course. They challenged me. It was tough, but they helped me. I only have a career today because I worked so hard back then to learn what the hell I was doing. I just learned what the hell I was doing and how to do it. And no one can take that away from me. You can't give me a script or anything at this point that I wouldn't know what to do with it. I would know exactly what to. Oh, there's anyway. There's just no way. I know what to do with the script when I get it. I know operative words. I know objectives. I know challenge. Please, because I've done it for so long. And I actually teach. Believe it or not, I'm a part-time adjunct professor. And I tell the kids, it's not the first year or 2 or 3 of your career. If you can look 20, 25, 30 years down the line and you've been practicing the same craft and making a living at it, that's the test. That's the goal.
Test.
It's not to just, in 5 years you did it, okay, you had a series and then you disappeared. But now 30, 35, 40 years down the line, can you say I'm still doing what I love to do and I'm also making a living by it? That, baby, that's the real litmus test. It's not whether you get a series or a feature as soon as when you were young. Nah, it's not that at all.
Did you ask yourself that question 15 years ago, 20 years ago? Where will, if I look down the line 20, 30 years, will I love what I'm doing?
A teacher, there was a teacher, because I was a cocky little son. I thought it was so good. No, I was. I mean, a teacher made me aware of that. There was we had a master acting teacher who one day said to us in class, I'll never forget, he said, your professional life won't start until you're 35. He talked like that. 35 or 40. And here I was 21 thinking, get out of here. What are you talking about? I'm good now. What do you mean? Come on.
Right.
But now I understand what he meant. I mean, you have to get out in life, get your behind kicked a little bit, have some disappointments, have some joys before you can really begin to access these characters you want to play. So it took time. It takes time. You think they know it all. That's just the nature of being young. I mean, that's just you know it all. I got it.
Yeah.
I studied. I know everything now. But no, believe me, 10, 20, 30 years down the line. So now, and I say the same thing to my students. I say, listen, you guys, it's not about being a star within 5 to 10. Please, most of you will have to be out here for some time before you achieve any kind of steady working career. Most of you will have to put some time in. And if you're not ready to do that, well, you might want to think about another line of work.
Yeah, you said you got to get your butt kicked. I think I got a fresh footprint on my behind right now. So
yeah, it happens. Again, challenges.
Yeah, no, it's.
But you'll come back for you didn't break. I mean, you're still going after what you want to do. You didn't break. If anything, it might have made you more determined.
Yeah. That's just life putting you to it, because to whom much is given, much is tested. And I often tell people that I talk to that what I realize that life is a trip, because it's not like school where you get to study, write the lessons, and then you take the test. No, oftentimes in life you get tested first, and then you get the lesson, and then it's this whole thing. So that's fascinating.
That's exactly right.
Now, speaking of getting our butts kicked, what was one of your biggest failures, and what did you learn from it? Or disappointments or setbacks?
There have been roles I really wanted, roles that I've auditioned for that I thought I was in, that I thought, because it went so well and because they kept showing interest in me, and in the end, they didn't give it to me. They were roles I really truly wanted to do, and I thought I was on track to do them. It almost like I felt like I was going to sign to do it, and in the end, they went with somebody else, and I realized. Yeah, it just happened. But again, that's part of it. Of course, I was just like, I'm done. I'm out of here. I'm not going to do this anymore. This is crazy. I can't be in this kind of line of work. But you take the licks, you take the wounds, you go out. Hopefully you surround yourself with friends and people who believe in you and see you. So you take the licks, you take the wounds, you bleed a little bit, and then you come back. It's like, again, the proverbial falling off the bicycle. You fall off the bicycle, you get a couple of scrapes the knee, you scrape the elbow, but then if you really want to know how to ride that sucker, you get back on. So there were just definitely disappointments. There still are disappointments along the way, but now I have a history of, it just wasn't meant for me. Now I can say that. Back then I didn't, but now I can say, well, I guess this just wasn't meant for me, because what's mine is going to come to me in a cosmic sense.
Wow.
It's going to come to me. So don't worry about what you didn't get. Yeah, you're disappointed. It's nothing. You can feel disappointed. That's okay, but it just wasn't meant to be yours. And I've done this long enough now to know that there are things that I've gotten that I never thought would come my way. It just popped up. Oh, please, absolutely. When I was asked to be a series regular on True Blood a few years ago,
I was going there. That's what I was getting to that. Let's go.
Yeah, it was a recurring role on it for a couple of seasons. I recurred as a minister. Reverend Daniels was his name. And then one season, my agent said, they want to make you a regular for the season. I beg your pardon? They want you to be a series regular this coming season. Oh, okay then. I didn't see that coming. I never, I didn't see that coming, and it was wonderful. So there are things that happen along the way that will surprise you. Just keep, it's the journey. It's the journey. It's the journey. Keep your values, keep pushing, keep your passion, keep your integrity, and things will happen sometimes that you have no idea are coming your way. And I truly believe that. That's not just because it sounds good as a soundbite. It's been evidence of my life, Will.
No, serendipity is it's a truly, truly splendid thing. It really is when you find yourself immersed in it and you get surprised and you appreciate that experience, because as you know, the more things that you become appreciative for in the universe, the more things you get, and to become more appreciative for. Oh, you like that. So the universe is very accommodating. that's why we have to be mindful of what we dwell on with our thoughts, because the
That's
universe
right.
doesn't hear you don't want it when you're lamenting on a negative
What you
situation.
didn't
It's
get, yeah.
yeah, it's just going to give you more and more and more of that. And so after I got out of those rabbit holes of, oh my God, what is it? Wait, flip it. What are you? You got to focus on what you want. You're
That's
focused on
right.
what you don't want. Why don't you love the stuff that you love and be a fan of that? And so
I
that's
call it the
that.
attitude of gratitude. I call it, you got to have an attitude of gratitude. Absolutely.
Oh man.
Everything I get, everything I go after, you have to have an attitude of gratitude. Like, okay, I may not have got that, but I sure am happy I had the choice. I sure am happy that I was in the running. I sure am happy, blah, blah, blah. So you're right. The universe reads that. The
Yes.
universe says, well, yeah, I'm grateful for you giving me the chance. I'm grateful for getting that show. I'm grateful for, and share it and say it and make it, manifest. So I always, thank God, I've always been able to have an attitude of gratitude. Every time I work, everything I get,
Mhm.
I go, thank you.
I just got off of a gratitude walk before
Oh,
this. No, I've been gratitude walking for
tell me about
maybe
it.
7 years. I was doing research for,
Wow.
behind the scenes, I have my own software company, and we issued a cryptocurrency. It's called Agua Technology. So researching that idea, I came up with the idea of my own proprietary software that enables people to make real-time purchases in their vehicles from whatever they're hearing in their infotainment system. So
Wow.
so
Impressive.
researching, thank you. So researching that, I found a couple, and they introduced this gratitude walking, and they said, we were at the ends of our ropes at this career, and we
Yeah,
didn't want
yeah.
to do that, and they ended up selling hair bundles to Caucasian people in Canada, and they were making a killing. It was
You're kidding me.
ironically. So
That's great.
so long story short, what happened was they said their lives changed when they started uh, going on these gratitude walks. They heard somebody say something about going on a gratitude walk. And the secret was to focus on things that you were grateful for and things that had already happened to you that you were grateful
Yes,
for. And then
yes,
mix some things that hasn't happened to you or
yes.
haven't, and mix that with the gratitude as if it's all in that soup. And then you walk and you appreciate, you slowly walk and you just repeat
A
these things. I'm
gratitude
grateful,
walk.
walk. So I've been doing that every day
Wow.
for years, most days for years, gratitude walking.
Do you do
And
it
what I
daily or do you do it a few days a week or what do you do?
some
How do you do it?
I usually do it daily.
Daily.
Usually some daily. Some days, some days I miss a couple of days. Some days I
Yeah,
get two or
of
three.
course,
Some days I'll
of
go on
course.
2 or 3 gratitude walks. I won't
Right.
limit myself. But
Well,
the
and I was
point
just saying
is,
attitude of gratitude. And look, this walk thing
yeah,
you're telling me about.
because what happens is your respiratory system, your breathing, your sweating, and it's all now supercharging that state
That's
of
right.
gratitude. And so when you
I
get your
agree.
physiology involved in the act of gratitude, look out. I mean, just watch out, because this can, back to serendipity,
That's right.
and
That's right. That's right.
right. So I'm fascinated with this conversation. For one, we're building here and I'm learning, and it's just it's a great thing. And we did just to, zigzag a little bit and get back focused a little bit, because I could talk to you forever. I can see that already.
Thank
Now,
you. I appreciate it.
you did bring up True Blood. So how did you
Yes.
find yourself on the set of True Blood?
Again, talk about gratitude things. I was not in LA at the time. I mean, I had gone to do a play in New Jersey. I lived out here, but I went off to do a play in New Jersey when the auditions first came around. To make a long story short, my agent contacted me saying they want you to put yourself on tape. Well, at that time, very rare did you put yourself on tape to send back to the producers. Usually, you
Okay.
needed to be in the room, particularly for something like a show like True Blood. Alan Ball, a brilliant writer. I mean, you
Hmm.
had to be in the room. So I was like, really? I'm in New Jersey. I got to find a place now to, to do a tape.
Right.
I almost passed it by. I swear, I almost went, this is just going to be too much trouble. I got to pass it by. And plus, they're not going to see a tape and cast me. Again, this was like 9-10 years ago when it wasn't common to send in tapes with it. I thought they're not going to cast me with watching it. Okay, fine. So I found a place to do it. I found someone willing to do it. I taped it, sent it in. A few days later, my agent said, "Oh, they want to book you for that show." What? They want to, but look how close I came. Well, I kid you no kid. I came so close to saying, "No, this is not going to work out." I mean, I'm out here doing something. I was directing a show at the time, so I'm out here doing something. I don't want to take the time to look at the material. And boy, it's when you think, when you start talking yourself out of it. It's when you start
Oh,
talking yourself out of stuff. And I came this close to saying, "Let it go." It would have been dignified. I would say, "Okay, well, he's going to pass on it." but I found a way to do it. And a few days later, I had booked it. So that's how I got on True Blood. I didn't even go in and meet the producers. I was in a different place. They said, send in a tape. I sent in a tape, and that's how they cast me off of the tape.
Okay, so when you started describing how you almost didn't do it, a scene from the movie Labyrinth came into my mind. At the very beginning of this movie, Labyrinth, which I used to love as a kid. I used to escape into that movie. And at the beginning, the guy, right before they were going to go on a journey, they approached the labyrinth. And this guy comes and he's like telling them all this stuff, and they're based on questions that they're asking. And he ends up telling them too much information, and they end up going right. And that's the long way. And he goes, what? They wanted to go to the castle? All they had to do was ask me the quickest way, and they could have went left. And they would have took them right to the castle. It sounds like you almost went right and you went left on the True
absolutely.
Blood set.
I love that story. Absolutely, because I was talking myself out of it. I was actually saying, I don't want to be bothered for whatever reasons. I was talking myself out of it, and look what I gained as a result of saying, okay, hunker down. This is what you do. This is what actors do. You audition for things. Yes, it's not the way you're used to. You're used to being in a room and you meet the producers and the writers. Yes, I know that, but you're in New Jersey now, so just do it. And boy, whatever little muse was sitting on my shoulder, an angel on my shoulder that said, you should do this, find a way. And it wasn't even hard to pull it together. It wasn't even hard. It wasn't even, I had made it just this monumental Herculean task. I got to find someone who shoots things out here. And well, I'm telling you, in the end, it wasn't even that hard. So if that's a lesson to anybody who's listening, don't make it easy for yourself by pulling yourself out of it. Stay in the game. Stay in the game.
Identifying that disempowering thought pattern, and then you don't have to destroy it or obliterate it, but just no, actually I'm gonna go ahead. And you said it ended up being easy. I read this in a fortune cookie. When your opportunity will be so obvious, it'll be written everywhere. So like a lot of the times, those of us that find themselves on endeavors of ambition, we start thinking, man, I got to be vigilant. I got to be there. I cannot blink or else I'm going to miss it. And the universe is like, no, it'll be a vacuum pulling you in. You would literally have to talk yourself out of it and self-sabotage to think, oh, it's too good to be true. That's right. And that, in order for that to
so much is there for you to lose. It's up to you. It's there for you to lose. It's totally on you. But again, what's the dream? What's the dream that you have? And you staying positive in the dream. And somehow I had enough positivity to say, go ahead and do it. Just go ahead. It's not going to cost you anything. Just do it, knock it out. And I did it, knocked it out in the afternoon, sent it in, never thought about it again. I also said, okay, I'm not going to get it. I'm not going to get that. I can't tell you how many projects I've said, I'm not going to get this. And once again, there's so many products I say, okay, I did it. I'm not going to get this. They're never going to cast me. I'm too short. I'm too bad. They're not going to. I'm too old. I'm too young. They're not going to do it. And of course, they come back and I get the offer. So you never know how the blessings are going to come. All you can do is just stay with it. I mean that. Stay with it. Stay positive. You don't know what they're thinking. Once you send in the product, who knows what thought patterns are going to go into their mind? Hey, maybe this guy reminds me of my uncle. I think he's perfect. You don't know that.
You don't know.
But if you got to be in it to win it, though, I know that. If you don't send in anything, they say, oh, Gregg Daniel passed. Okay. He's gone.
So old rusty gym coach will tell you, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right? No, that's good.
Wow, that's great. It's so true too. It's so true. That's a great one.
It's true. It's really
even like the voice. That was very cool.
Thank you.
I even like the voice. Yeah. No, it worked. It worked for me.
Thank you. So what are some great resources that have helped you along the way? Like if you have to recharge your batteries, or like, okay, let me go. This thing always carries me. Some people it's a Bible. Some people it's a gratitude walk, right? Some people it's a conversation with a loved one.
The simplest thing for me is surrounding myself with people who also love what they do, whether they're in the business, the entertainment film business or not. But I surround myself with positive people who are out there trying to make a difference, not just in their own lives, but in other people's lives. I find giving and sharing has a big deal to do with recharging my batteries, whether it's working for a charity. I'm into Feed America. I'm into sort of helping dog. We just adopted a dog from Korea, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah, I'm crazy about animals. So we just adopted a golden retriever from Korea. But I'm just saying, finding positive things to do and ways to help, ways to give back and ways to help. It may sound cliche, but that gives me such a charge. I feel so validated when I helped something along the way. So rather than this always me, I mean, I want this, me, I want this, me, I want that. Sometimes it's like, well, what is this? What can I help? What can I help if I volunteer time, whether it's some resources, whether it's monetary? What can I help make a change in my little way? So I don't just dwell on me and those things that I want. I dwell on how I could help others. And I'm at the point in my life now. I've had so much success and so much, I've been so lucky that I'm looking to give back. I'm looking for ways to sort of uplift and help others, whether it's an organization, whether it's an individual. But I'm looking for ways to do that. I want to be a factor in helping. So that always recharges. I always tell people it blesses me far more than it blesses you. Blesses me
Right.
far more than
Right.
you may say thank you, whatever. But I'm saying, listen, you have no idea what it
That
does for me to have been able to do that.
Wow. So we're on Product as the Star right now. We're getting to know Gregg Daniels so that we can find out what he's working on really quickly. Not really quickly, excuse me, but rather currently. And that's what we do here at Product as a Star. We want to switch our format a little bit around, get to know the person, get to know the product on separate accords, and then transition into that, because there's so many people look to these streaming platforms not just for entertainment but for education, almost like edutainment, if you will, to get to have some, to get some laughter and some, some character, and then also to get some, jewels, as we say in hip hop, to get that jewel, So with that being said, are you working on the final season or the final
Yes.
episode?
No. Final
Of,
season. The final season of Insecure, season 5.
and that's coming up.
Oh, it's streaming now. It started streaming.
It's streaming now. Okay.
It's streaming on HBO. It's an HBO show, HBO Max, and it's been just a joy. It's been a pleasure. This is our final season, season 5. It's just been a joy. I mean, Issa Rae is brilliant in terms of how she started the show. HBO is crazy about the show and her fans. We had 8 primetime Emmy nominations in 2020. It's been it's been a hell of a ride. It's been it's not ending because of bad ratings or anything. It's just that the creator feels like it's time now to move on and end the show. But I've been really blessed to be on that show. That show has been embraced by so many people. I mean, so many because obviously about BIPOC individuals, females growing up, making it in the world, and it's just been a tremendous positive thing. We finished. We shot the show. They're streaming. I think we're on episode 7. It comes on Sunday night. We're on episode 7 now, and everyone's wondering how's it going to end. But I guarantee you will be pleased, because sometimes when you stay with series for like 5 seasons or more, you go, oh, how are they going to end it? I guarantee you, stick with it, folks. You're going to be satisfied. It's like a good 4-course meal, or 3-course meal. You'll be satisfied with how we wrap up the loose ends on the show.
It's fascinating, and it brings up a couple questions for me as you find yourself. Well, one thing I'll say, I was researching the show, and I found some little behind the scenes things, and I want to know what it was like, because I found out that it was a season by season thing. So it was they renewed you guys one season by another season, and to do that 4 years in a row, what was that like? That kind of, was there uncertainty there, or did you guys kind of know, oh, they're going to bring us back?
Well, as far as I know, there's always uncertainty. You never know what a network is going to do, or you just don't know. But I mean, you don't want to say it's a sure thing because it's embraced, because there have been shows that have done very well and they still haven't renewed them. So you kind of put just the best product out there and hope that they see the growth and where the show could go. And HBO, I got to say HBO, because again, True Blood was HBO. I mean, HBO is such a great network. I mean, the product they have, the storylines that they develop are superior. I think are absolutely superior. Some of the most just really educational programming and challenging program has come with Game of Thrones. I mean, this is all HBO shows. These are all HBO, and there's a reason. That they really know a good story. So you're never 100% sure, but they had the full back. We had the full backing of HBO. They really loved the show, and our fan base was tremendous. I mean, our fan base was they connected with it. Again, these 2 BIPOC females in Los Angeles, growing up, trying to find their way, who they were as individuals, changing, growth, choices that had to be made. Clearly, the audience connected with it. So, it is a blessing. It is a blessing to be on that show.
I mean, I can tell because you're lighting up as you're talking about it. And I love that. I love that. I love that. I'm really a fan of that.
You
So
can work
the
on shows sometime, and it's a job, and then you can work on some shows that really, as you say, touch you in a way that every time you think of it, it induces a smile. Because
yeah,
there's shows I do that just I go on, I do my work, and I leave, and then there's some shows you go, wow, that was such a wonderful, fulfilling experience to have worked on.
man,
And
that
Insecure was a wonderful, fulfilling one.
so that's fascinating because I want to be that type of a person to where they associate Will with the smile. You know that Will, he's crazy. You go get Will, go call Will. Bring Will over here. He's gonna take something out of the something. Like so that's an experience now. It's not work, right? It's an experience. You've
That's
experienced
right.
something and you
That's
realize this is
right.
precious, and the fact that it's going to end makes it that much more special.
Absolutely.
And now, this is a question that I did have as we find ourselves drawing this one to a close, and I hope that you come back on this show,
Well,
and
thank
I
you.
hope that
I
you
would love to,
that
Will.
all right,
Thank you.
great, great, great. But and whatever if I could come see you sometime and see you in your
Yes,
craft and learn about what you do and get a front row seat to that, and just be the student that I
absolutely.
love being.
I'll
But
make sure
okay,
my publicist keeps up with you. I will make sure.
okay, I'm holding you to that. I'm
I
gonna
know
go to
you are.
Twitter
I know
and
you
say
are.
Greg Daniel told me. No,
That's right. That's right. I'm talking
no.
about Greg. He said it on. I got the tape to say that he said it on the show. But
I
please, sir,
love
what was
it.
the question?
No, so as how do actors and actors and actresses and our performers in between projects, how do you guys stay practiced on your craft? Like as a writer of art, music, when there's not an album coming out or I'm in between projects, there's a multitude of things I can do. I can turn on an instrumental and start freestyling for 35, 40 minutes just to
Right.
practice my
Right.
craft. So
Right.
there's a bunch of things, but it just escapes me of because in my mind of understanding actors, you gotta
Sure.
it's script, you need the script, right? And that's
Very
you gotta
fair
become that
question.
person. So how do you guys stay sharp in between
Very fair
projects?
question. Take classes, go see
Oh,
plays,
okay.
go see movies, read. I mean, they're just not just plays and screenplays, but read. I mean, the more you can feed that artistic, creative side of you. So there's so much information and stimulus out there. I'm a New Yorker, born and raised. So anytime I go back to New York, I'm seeing play. I see plays out here too, but I'm on Broadway. I go to off Broadway. I mean, literally, the plane touches down. I'm saying, okay, what's good? What's the scuttlebutt in town? What's supposed to be a good play?
Mm,
What's supposed to be a good script? What acting performance is supposed to be like? Has everyone upended? So I go see a lot of theater. I go see a lot of
mhm,
movies. I read a lot in not just
mm,
drama, but in all literature. I also, if you can take class, like I said, I am an adjunct teacher at a school. I mean, continue to immerse yourself in it. Just
mm,
because you're not working directly doesn't mean there's stimulus is stopped. There's just too many
mhm.
sources out there. Plus, I love to steal. I'm also a director. I tell our directors, I'll imprint it because don't they say imitation is the highest form of flattery? If I can find some place to
Right,
put it, in my future, who knows when, 5, 8, 10 years from
right.
now, I'll go, oh, wait a minute, this was like that moment I saw when yeah, I think I'm going to do that. I mean, imitation, the highest form of flattery. So you have to keep feeding. You have to keep feeding yourself artistically
Hmm.
and creatively. So don't stop. Don't sit in a room. I mean, just look out there, live. I tell my kids, like, live, read, get yourself in
Right.
situations, go out there. You're always observer of life. You're always taking in stimulus. So that's what keeps me charged. I immerse myself. I can be in a bookstore from morning to night. I can go in a bookstore, and it doesn't have to be the drama section or the play section. I'm always interested in people's stories, and so there's all kinds of stimulus out there. Will.
Well, okay. So as we this is great because you're talking about becoming immersed in a thing, absorbed in a topic. And
That's
a
right.
lot of people, how do you know when you're absorbed in a topic? Well, I'll tell you what, if you can name that point in which you became absorbed in it, then you weren't absorbed in it. So it's finding yourself lost in something that lets you know, follow that thing. I remember reading something about Beyonce being on the set and was working so long, and people were like, you realize it's been 28 hours straight.
Right. Right.
Whoa, wait, hold on. Beyonce's, wait, that's how she can dance for three
That's
hours
right.
in heels
That's right.
and sing
That's
and
right.
stuff like that because
The
she's
more work you put into it, the easier you make it look. People don't
fully
realize
absorbed.
that sometimes one moment took 4 days to come to that one moment that flies by, but it took you 4 days, whether it's a dance step, whether it's a moment of action, it took you 3, 4 days to get to that. The more work you put into it, the easier it will look to the audience. But if you don't put the work into it, they're not going to see it. So I am in total agreement with you. Beyonce, any professional like that puts time, focus, energy, attention onto it. And then people say, "Oh, that was so good. That was a nice movie." They might not even notice it, but you know that you put it out there. You know
that is great. We're gonna end it right there. I appreciate.
It's a pleasure.
I appreciate you so much. Gratitude to you. We're gonna hang out. We're gonna do a gratitude walk too.
Okay. Well, again, get in contact with my publicist seriously, and I would love to come back on the show sometime. I wish you all the luck in your endeavors. Clearly, your heart is in this, and you're following your heart. So. And it's been a pleasure. It's like I even interview. It's been a pleasure talking to you. It has been.
Thank you so much. Have a blessed day, blessed weekend, a blessed career.
Yeah, good holidays. Good holidays too.
Yeah,
Stay healthy.
Absolutely.
Stay healthy.
That's right.
Okay, take care, Will.